Let's get across the market open now. Mark Gardner joining us from MPC Markets. Mark, happy Monday to you. Big week. Well, of course, we're just starting earnings season here. We'll get to that in just a moment. Earnings continuing stateside too, of course. Let's take a look at what happened on Friday. Big pop from Amazon.
Yeah, really big pop from Amazon. That followed on from Microsoft's biggest day since 2008. And look, it really it didn't necessarily cement the AI thematic in terms of being concerned around the capex spend, etc. But they were, what the growth in the AI cloud areas for both companies, which are two of the bigger companies, was close enough that there was little concern. So we did see Apple get hit about 7% as well. It's got component shortages, etc. And Samsung had an update as well, saying that their earnings were, with 250 times on AI memory shortages, and then they're forecasting a worsening memory chip crunch over the coming years. So I think we saw obviously the Korean market bounce back and hit the circuit breaker to the upside on Friday, and Micron was down a little bit on Friday night, but essentially I think there's been a lot of volatility in that sector, just on this on this route from was it situational awareness being taken over by Citadel as well. So it was a hedge fund that it basically had to close down because it got stopped out in a lot of these AI and memory chip stocks in the last over the last couple of weeks. So you can sort of tell that it was a bit of a leverage flush out, both from a fund and retail. It probably sort of stabilises from here and grinds higher, I'd say.
So ahead, earnings, SpaceX.
Yes, well, that's on the 4th, tomorrow night. But the big deal will be that 20% of the stock gets released on the 6th. And that's the biggest release of any stock in history after an IPO. At the moment, you've only got 4 to 8% floating around the system, and it's only 1% of the Nasdaq at the moment because of the lack of free float. But obviously, that's going to leave it open for people to be able to sell, and we are sitting around that 108. I think we sort of start to have interest, probably below 80, I'd say. And it's going to be about the story yet again, but we're a long way from those record highs.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out. Let's then turn to the local market. Now, interestingly, macro moves. President Trump cancelling further strikes on Iran, saying they want to make this nuclear deal happen. Mark, we've heard this all before. Look, as a result, though, oil tumbling, gold is higher.
Yeah.
What next?
I think it's just a cycle, isn't it? It's and then I think Iran's denied. Well, there's just some bits and pieces floating around on social media this morning that Iran's denied any of this is going on. So then we cycle back into we're going to bomb the hell out of them. I won't use the words President Trump used the other day, and then we're going to get a deal, etc., etc. So we're still around 80. The oil's dropped about 6% this morning. That'll help the market generally, I would have thought. But we're going to be, as we sort of get towards the end of the week, we're going to be all eyes on on the ASX earnings season, and as what's been described in a couple of the papers this morning as a casino for this earnings season. So it'd be interesting to see what some of the moves are going to be over the course of the next few weeks.
Why a casino? Because it's just like it's just too many unknowns there.
I don't think. I think it's just there's so much money going into that passive ETF market, and there's just a lack of liquidity from the major fund, mid-cap fund managers, etc. And I think we've sort of been identified as a bit of a market from global algorithmic funds to be, it's a pretty easy short because we can slightly disappoint and be down 30%, but we can beat by plenty and be up 5%. So there'll be some good stories and there'll be some tears, I'm sure, with a couple that miss. But we're just taking the approach this earnings season that we're not going to try and be predictive. The risk reward is probably about 3 to 1 to the downside, and we just don't like getting involved in trades like that. We'll basically hold on to our core holdings that we're happy to hold on to, and that we're happy to buy more of, and we'll watch the earnings and sort of make up our minds afterwards. I just don't think there's any need, given the price action of the last 2 earnings seasons, to be a hero.
So, Mark, among the results getting this week, any particular stocks you're keenly watching?
It'll be interesting to watch REA. I think that's on Thursday. But apart from that, I think there's a bunch of small ones. I think it'll be more the collective and seeing what the price action does. And I think that, REA is a volume business, so I think it's been hit in this SaaS apocalypse. I dare say it'll probably, and it's been hit on the back of negativity around the property market. That people might be pulling their budgets back, but I'd be interested to see whether that's actually the case. There's a lot of speculation around broad themes that's had this stock under pressure, and I sort of do get the feeling that it might surprise to the upside, but again, we won't be taking the risk coming into it.
Another stock in focus, the end of the week, ResMed. Of course, we know what's happened to those healthcare stocks. ResMed has been punished severely to the point where, how do you view that stock right now, and how critical is this result going to be?
I think this result will be sort of business as usual, really. I think they've been reporting pretty well, and then been hit by the broader index selling. But I mean, CSL started to show green shoots. I don't know whether Cochlear is the way to. I think there's every possibility that could disappoint or not turn around fast enough. This earnings season, and you probably watched until the next one. But we're positive on ResMed. We do hold the stock. Happy to hold it, and you're getting quarterly updates there because they're dual listed in the US as well. So and they always seem to report well. So yeah, pretty confident with that one. I don't think that's. I think you get a lot more updates around ResMed than you do the other stocks just because of that dual listing.